Is hello, everyone. I'd like to open up the meeting and read the accessibility statement for Title VI, Notice of Protection. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. Large print materials are available upon advance request. If you would like either of these accommodations, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. The notice of non-discrimination rights and protections to beneficiaries with regard to the federal Title VI/non-discrimination protections in the state non-discrimination protections is posted in this meeting room and is available on the Old Colony Planning Council website. Again, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 for more information. And thank you all, and thank you all for attending the Joint Transportation Committee meeting. I just want to call the meeting to order. In item number 2, I'd like to move on to would be public comments. Do I have any public comments at this time? Hearing none, I'm going to move forward onto our minutes of January 4th, 2024 meeting. Everybody had a chance to look them over. Do I have a motion on the floor for the minutes of February?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, Dan Salvucci.
Okay, could I have a second to that motion, please? For the minutes?
Second.
Okay, thank you. I would like to take a call vote on that. Bill, if you could do that for us?
Yes, ma'am. Abington,
Yes.
Avon, Bridgewater, Brockton,
Yes.
Yes.
Duxbury, East Bridgewater, Easton,
Yes.
thank you. Halifax, Hanover, Hanson, Kingston,
Yes.
thank you. Pembroke, Plymouth,
Yes.
thank you. Plimpton, Stoughton, West Bridgewater, Whitman,
Yes.
Yes.
Brockton Area Transit,
Yes.
Gatra, MassDOT District 5,
Yes.
thank you, and MassDOT Office of Transportation Planning.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bill.
Oh, you're welcome.
I want to move on to item number 4, which would be communications, and that would be Sean.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
You're
The
welcome.
communications packet this month. The first item is a save the date announcement for the Old Colony MPO meeting, which will be held February 20th at 10 a.m. And we will be having a special guest chair our meeting. Secretary Tibbetts Nutt will be in person. This meeting will also be on Zoom for those who are unable to make it, but in-person attendance is welcome. Our next item is Culvert Replacement Municipal Assistance Grant Program, Division of Ecological Restoration, Massachusetts Department of Fish and Game. This grant program is for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts local government units interested in replacing an undersized, perched, and/or degraded culvert located in an area of high ecological value. For more information on this program, please click on the link in the staff report. The next item is Federal Funds and Infrastructure Office, which is the lead agency within the Healy-Driscoll administration, tasked with implementing a whole of government approach to ensure the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is able to leverage historic opportunities available for federal funding. For information on this infrastructure program, please click on both of the links in the staff report. The next item is the 2024 MassDOT Transportation Innovation Conference. It will be held April 30th and May 1st. Will be located at the DCU Center in Worcester. The annual conference provides a forum for innovative transportation systems, management ideas, and initiatives. For more information and to register, please click on the link in the staff report. Next item, our own Ray Garino will be retiring. We will have a party for him
Wow.
Thursday, March 7th at 1 p.m. located at OCPC's office here in Brockton. Please RSVP by February 29th. You can scan the QR code for information, and if you have any questions, you can contact Elise Prince.
Ooh,
And that is communications.
thank you so much, Sean. Oh, I didn't know it was so soon for Ray. Well,
Yep, it'll be here before we know it.
I mean, it will be. Lori, item number, item
Madam Chair,
number,
Madam Chair, I apologize. I see Charlie has his hand raised.
oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that, though. Ray is retiring on March 8th, as luck would have it, and we're so fortunate that he will be continuing on in a part-time fashion
Oh, good.
with OCPC. So he will start to enjoy his retirement by sharing some of his time with us. So
Great.
he won't be
Yeah, the
totally
party's
gone.
at
So
7, right?
yeah,
The party is at 7, right? I mean,
1
on the
o'clock.
7th.
Yes, right after the JTC meeting.
Great. Mm. I want to move on to item 5, which is reports. 5A is the Brockton Area Regional Transit Authority. And is Michael here from BAT?
I am here, Chair.
Hello.
Hello, thank you very much, and congratulations to Ray, of course.
Yes.
As Mary and Charlie just heard at our quarterly board meeting, this past January, having just wrapped up, BAT exceeded pre-COVID ridership for the first time since
Nice,
the
great.
pandemic began. That is due to the combination of the fare-free service that we're currently providing, along with our expanded weekend and nighttime service. So it's a great news from BAT. Free fares will continue to run through May, and it's our hope that once those conclude, that the customers will stick with us and continue to ride more frequently. Good news on that front is twofold. One, the governor's budget came out last week, and that includes both the increased funding that allowed for our weekend and nighttime service, and has another pot of money to continue fare-free program for another 6 months again next year, which, if our board supports us, BAT will be happy to provide. The new Rockland Microtransit service continues to provide strong results. We've applied for a grant to expand our microtransit efforts to other communities and to focus on second and third shift workers overnight. And then finally, our progress towards electrification continues. Our first 5 buses are still due to arrive late May, early June, and we have 3 different plans in place to provide charging for those buses. That's an exciting turn of events. Oh, and one final note, which we mentioned to our board today. We went out to bid for landscape master planning for our campus here, which is the administrative building, the BAT Center, and our parking garage. And it's our goal to invest in our appearance, establish some gateways to the community, and increase safety for pedestrians accessing the BAT Center area. There are more and more people who are moving into the immediate area right around BAT Center who will be approaching via foot. So we want to make sure that they are safely have a safe egress and means onto the site. We've also asked the landscape architect to come up with a plan that would allow us to become a registered arboretum, taking into account all 3 of our parcels. So that's exciting news, and stay tuned for developments along that front.
Thank you, Mike, and congratulations on your increased ridership. Good
Yeah.
news.
Great news.
Yeah, really. Any comments or questions from Mike? All right. Thank you so much. Item F, 5B, which is the Greater Attleboro Taunton Regional Transit Authority. Is Mary Ellen available today?
I do
All
not
right.
see her on
No.
the list of people in
Okay.
attendance.
All right, if she comes in, we can go back to that. Item 5C, which is the South Coast Rail Project, and that would be Sean.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. As everybody's been aware for quite some time, South Coast Rail is continuing on. It will be restoring commuter rail service to the cities of Taunton, Fall River, and New Bedford as the only major cities within 50 miles without commuter rail service currently. During the month of January, some of the work that was conducted was track work between Elm Street and Copycut Road and Assonet, daytime traffic signal testing and adjustment work in Middleborough, New Bedford, and Taunton near train stations in those communities. Return of the Mass Coastal Railroad daytime freight operations on the New Bedford Main Line and New Bedford secondary lines. And then lastly, daytime traffic signal work on routes 105 and 28 near the new Middleborough station. If anybody is interested in signing up for the automatic weekly updates on this project, you can click on the link in the staff report, enter your email address, and they will be automatically sent to you. I believe it's every Tuesday afternoon.
Thank you, Sean. Any questions from the committee? All right. Thank you again, Sean. I'm gonna move
You're
forward
welcome.
to item 6, which is old business. And item A is 2024 to 2028, the Transportation Improvement Program implementation. And that would be Bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So most of you have already seen that we have an amendment number 2 to the tip that's out on the streets right now for a public review and comment period. So that was to program in projects that were awarded through the Commonwealth's Community Transit Grant Program. For those not familiar, the Community Transit Grant Program is a discretionary grant program that designs to boost mobility in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And the region was very fortunate this go around. We a total of 5 grants were awarded. So if you go to the next page, just run through them. So Brockton Area Transit, they've received a couple of grants. One for continuing their microtransit service in the town of Rockland, which has been very successful, and it'll be great to see that service continue on. And also to extend ADA service into Avon and Stoughton, which goes beyond the federally required ADA boundaries. So it'll increase ADA service to those communities, so that's great news. The town of Bridgewater received a grant for their Bridgewater Cares Transit. The Old Colony Planning Council, they received a grant for their volunteer transportation service. And the finally, South Shore Community Action Council received a grant to assist them in continuing their service. So this is all great news. Congratulate these entities on their awards, and I should add, these do not affect any other funding in any other projects in the tip. This is just adding these projects. So without any, if I'm happy to answer any questions on these, but this is an action item, so I would like a vote of approval from the Joint Transportation Committee if the chair would entertain that.
Yes, Bill, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
These programs that were added, they come with the money attached to the program?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Said
So
earlier.
yeah, some of these are standalone standalone grants, and then some of them have a match attached to them. But yeah, these are all fully funded.
Now, the match that is attached, was that a town match or a state or a federal match?
Well,
Both. Yep.
Both? Okay, I wasn't sure how that worked, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All right, so we want to put a motion on the floor for the 2024-2028 TIP implementation program. Would we call them added projects that we discussed?
Mhm. Yeah, so yeah, approval of amendment 2 to go to the
Amendment
MPO
two,
for,
okay. Approval of amendment two.
Mhm.
Do I have a motion on the floor?
So moved. Michael Lambert?
I'll make
Second,
that second by Dan Salvucci.
okay, Bill, the roll call?
yes, ma'am, Abington,
Aye.
Avon?
Yes.
Thank you. Bridgewater? Rockton? Duxbury? East Bridgewater? Easton?
Yes.
Thank you. Halifax? Hanover? Hanson? Kingston? Pembroke?
Yes.
Thank you. Pembroke? Plymouth?
Yes.
Thank you. Plimpton? Stoughton? West Bridgewater? Whitman?
Accept?
Yes,
Yes,
Brockton Area Transit?
Yes.
MassDOT, Office of Transportation Planning?
Yes.
And MassDOT District 5.
Yes.
And we don't have anyone from GATRA yet, do we? Okay,
okay. Motion carries. Thank you, Bill.
thank you.
I want to move on to item 7, which is new business, 2025 to 2029, Transportation Improvement Program Development, and the development timeline and key dates, and that would be Bill again.
Thanks again, Madam Chair. As you know, we're in full swing with the development of the next round of the Transportation Improvement Program. So that's for federal fiscal years 2025 through 2029. If you just want to go to the next page, Sean. Thank you. So this table just kind of shows you the general timeline that we're in right now. So right now, where we've been is, we've been consulting with project proponents as well as MassDOT on the current status of projects. We've reviewing all these projects and just seeing where they stand. You can see next week we have annual tip readiness days. So tip readiness days, for those not familiar, that's when each MPO meets with MassDOT and we just go through the tip and the existing tip, and then we also look at potential projects that might be added in, especially that new year on the end 2029 that could be added in. And then you can see going forward, what will happen is we'll do in-house, we'll develop with consultation with the communities and project proponents, we'll develop a set of potential funding scenarios. Usually we develop at least 2, usually sometimes 3 scenarios, and then we'll consult and we'll go to the March MPO meeting, and the MPO will ultimately determine a preferred set of projects, which will set the framework for the draft tip. We'll take that, we'll develop a draft tip. Everything goes as planned. April, the MPO meeting, that the MPO would take that up to potentially release that to a public review and comment period. And that's when the draft tip would be available for the review. And then with fingers crossed, it would be looking at endorsement in May at the MPO meeting. So that's the timeline. Tip readiness days, that's a big step because it not only reviews we look at new projects that could potentially be funded, but then we look at the status of existing projects. So every year there's always the potential projects to move if projects might not be ready to be advertised this year, and that's going to ultimately gets pushed out, and then that might affect other projects. So that's where we're at now. So that's a preview of what's coming ahead. So the next few JTC and MPO meetings are particularly important if you're really interested in the tip and having your voice heard. So definitely encourage attendance and participation. And by all means, if you have any questions about the tip, whether it's the existing tip or getting projects initiated and through Map It, which is the state's project intake tool, we're always, we can't actually, intake the projects for you, but we're certainly here to provide guidance and answer any questions and technical
Mhm.
assistance. If anyone have any questions on that?
Hearing none. Thank you, Bill, for that presentation. Very good.
Hey, thank you.
Now item 7B, which is bipartisan infrastructure law. The first item is increases in transportation improvement program regional targets, and that would be Bill.
Yes, ma'am. So something we often get asked is, everyone's has heard of the bipartisan infrastructure law. That was a very robust investment bill that President Biden signed into law in 2021.
Mhm.
As one of the largest infrastructure investments in the history of this country. It was aimed at two primary goals, really, to maintain a state of good repair of our existing infrastructure, but also increase mobility and safety across the nation, whether it's the highway transportation system or the active transportation, so like pedestrians and bicyclists or transit. There are two components we're talking about today. So I'm going to talk very briefly about the highway side, because like I said, one of the questions we get is, what did that bill mean for us? How did that affect the tip? And it had a very substantial impact on the tip. And then my colleague Palomano is going to talk about the discretionary grants. So if you've been coming to these meetings long enough, you've seen the region's already received several grants through the discretionary grant program. Like Old Colony Planning Council, we received a grant to develop a Safe Streets for All action plan. We just awarded a contract to a consultant to help us develop that. City of Brockton, with Paul's help, when Paul worked for the city, they were recipient of a couple of grants. Town of Plymouth got a grant to replace a major culvert in town. So you're seeing all this news about these grants. So today we thought to take this opportunity to just kind of talk about what this has meant here in the region. So if you wanted to go to the next page. So overall, like I said, the BIL was very good news for the tip. Overall, after the tip was signed into law, we immediately saw a 17% increase in the regional target for our region. So the regional target is that cap, if you will, that we receive each year for programming projects. The tip obviously has to be fiscally constrained. Projects have to fit under that target, and we were running into a situation that, unfortunately, we're kind of still in that situation, just because inflation being what it is, and project costs just running through the roof. We had this situation was getting increasingly hard to program projects under the regional target, and this at least helps. And we definitely saw that last year when we were able to program a total of 3 regional projects in 2018. I'm not 20, excuse me, 2028, where we saw the target go up to 17 million and change, and that was compared to, I think, what we're originally looking at is like 13 million. So it was like almost $4 million more for that particular element of the tip. So that was great news. And then keep in mind, it's not just the regional target, it's also the stateside state projects, and just like us, they received a boost in funding as well. So when you with state projects being programmed in the region, we saw a very substantial increase, like 83% increase in funding in the TIP. So that was amazing. And if you want to go to the next page, John. So this page and the next page just shows how that TIP has changed over time with the passage of the BIL. And you can see that beginning in 2023, after that law was went into effect, that's when we really began to see the increase in funding. First couple of years, moderate increase, and then towards the tail end of the TIP, you can see that the targets really increased, which was great. And then finally, the next table. And again, so this is the regional target plus the, like I said, those state funded projects. And you can see that we've had a lot of money coming into the region for projects. So we're really grateful for this. It's been a great, been great for this region. And again, this is just the tip. And Paul's going to talk about the discretionary grants that are available to communities, NPOs, transit agencies. So with that, I will hand it off to Paul.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I appreciate your time and appreciate you letting me speak here this afternoon. As Bill mentioned, I'm the newest member of the OCPC team, and I'm happy to be coming over from the city of Brockton. My role as their sort of de facto grants coordinator, but also working on a lot of the work that was done as far as the American Rescue Plan Act was concerned. So definitely wore a lot of different hats. And of course, it's nice to see some of my colleagues on the call as well. As Bill had mentioned, the bipartisan infrastructure law was signed by President Biden in 2021. So we're about 3 years into that now, and essentially allocated pretty close to $1 trillion in new discretionary and formulaic funding for not only cities and towns, but also rural governments, tribal governments, regional planning agencies, and states as well. So it's really run the gamut in terms of applicability and eligibility. A lot of that focus has been tied to transportation, climate, clean energy, the environment, and also broadband. So there's a multitude of different layers to the bipartisan infrastructure law. It covers those major sectors. There's also a component within the Environmental Protection Agency related to solid waste management and regionalization. So lots of great programs that have come down through that act. And I think as a good sort of guide for folks, the White House has put out together a guidebook, and I'll obviously be working with a team here to put together a resource, not only in our newsletter for you folks, but also some other supplementary material on all of this. And by no means is this list exhaustive, but these are a lot of the major programs that I'll be kind of just going over rather quickly, just for the sake of time. I mean, we could spend probably about 2 or 3 hours on all these, but just wanted to highlight some of the major ones. So one of the big ones that actually has a deadline to today is the ATTAIN program. So that's the Advanced Transportation Technologies Innovative Mobility Program. So that's through the Federal Highway Administration. So essentially that one is to deploy innovative technologies related to safety, mobility, and transportation. So that includes sort of real-time data and sensor information that can include traffic signals, vehicle-to-vehicle infrastructure, air quality sensors. So there's a pretty exhaustive list of eligible projects under that. Total award for that is around 12 million. Again, with a due date kind of being actually today. So for folks that may be interested in that and weren't aware of it, I think next year would be a great opportunity for that program. Another big one that's coming down the pipeline in terms of deadline is the Bridge Investment Program. So this is essentially for the rehab, repair, and rehabilitation of small to medium-sized bridges. There was a larger program for The large bridges, over 100 million, talking about sort of the Bourne Bridge, Sagamore Bridge type of projects. But this is for more of those, again, small, medium-sized bridges. With this particular program, they're looking for bridges that are contained within the National Bridge Inventory. They're also looking for a specific span size, which I believe is 20 feet. From the last conversation that I had, Ms. Brockton was also trying to apply for this as well. So within that NBI, they're looking for any bridges that are in fair to poor condition. And there's a link within the federal highway that provides sort of an overview of all the bridges contained within that and which ones fall underneath those categories. With this one, there's no maximum award, so it's one of those ones where you're seeing an infinite number of funding being pulled into this. And there's two different tracks. So there's a planning grant track with a February due date, and there's also a bridge project track, which is more of the actual construction side of things, due in March. So, so folks interested in that one's a relatively new program. There's also the charging fueling infrastructure grant. So a lot of money is being pulled into electric vehicle charging stations, and with the goal of the Biden administration having at least close to 1 million chargers by 2030. That program also includes hydrogen, propane, and natural gas for communities that have sort of innovative projects related to that. The max award for that, this most previous funding round, was 15 million. Still waiting to see when the next notice of funding opportunity will be releasing for FY24, which will hopefully be soon. Unfortunately, there was only one award this year from Massachusetts, and it was out in Deerfield. They got a $2.5 million grant. So hoping somebody from our region can take advantage of that this year. Another big one is this multimodal discretionary program. So that is basically combining 3 different large grant programs. So you have what they're calling the MEGA program, the INFRA program, and rural transportation grant program, all into one, basically outlining really large scale regional, national significant transportation projects. I mean, that includes highway, rail, surface transportation projects. This one's pretty competitive. A lot of it has to deal with certain statutory criteria that's involved. But this is, again, another huge opportunity. There's no maximum award with this one. And the deadline for the upcoming round is yet to be determined for fiscal 24 and 25.
Paul, could I
next one,
interrupt? Could I interrupt you
Yes.
for a minute?
Sure.
Because this is a lot to digest. Is this information being forwarded to all the towns? As far as if they're eligible or the programs that are being offered?
Yes, so we're working on sort of a marketing piece for
Okay,
all the
great.
communities, so they're aware of the upcoming deadlines. We're going to do something hopefully in the newsletter and also on our website. And I see Mary has her
Great.
hand raised.
Noreen, if I could, we did not have a chance to talk about this extensively at last night's council meeting, but this is Paul's second week on the job. And so we're still formulating, like we're, in fact, internally, we're so overwhelmed. So we will be sending this out. He's presenting today JTC, so the process we'll be sending it to council members first, our board, and then we'll also be communicating it with town managers, planners, economic development, DPW, all the above. So, but
Because
thank you for the question.
It does seem like a lot of information. And some of these
it is.
programs, and actually I meant to ask this last night and I forgot. If a town needs help, can they apply under Delta for help for a grant program? You know, help gathering information or writing it? Would
You're
that be
talking
an
about the-
eligible activity?
You're talking about the DLTA, correct? The
Yes.
District Local Technical Assistance. So
Yes,
there are 2 levels, right? There is the District Local Technical Assistance that comes from the state of Massachusetts. That's for planning purposes.
right,
There is also some additional funds that is called the AAA Plus. Those are dedicated specifically just for federal funds. So that's where we're working internally with our economic development, transportation,
okay,
our AAA. So working internally to work on utilizing those funds.
Okay,
To then, the idea is using those funds to get more funds.
great.
So the answer is yes, but then there's technical assistance that's on the transportation side that Bill McNulty manages that. So
Mhm.
we're talking internally. Thank you, Charlie, for sharing that information in the chat. But it is, we're almost at a point where we're all sitting internally saying, wow, this is a lot. It's
It
now
is, it
so it's
is.
one thing to share that information. It's another thing to then making sure that we're not, that we're getting it into the right hand. So
Right. Thank
I
you
know-
very much.
I know Charlie put some things in the chat, and Paul, if you would like to take it from here.
Sure, yeah, and as Mary said, it is a lot of information to digest, and I'll try to, again, go over majority of this as quickly as I can, just obviously in the interest of everybody's time. So the next program was one that Bill had mentioned earlier, the National Culvert Removal, Replacement, and Restoration Grant. So this is the one for replacement, removal, or repair of culverts for municipalities. Particular thing to keep in mind with this one is that it focuses more on fish passage and anadromous fish infrastructure. So just keeping that in mind for municipalities that are interested in applying for this one. The award is anywhere between 100,000 and 2 million, depending on the project. And the next funding round is to be announced for fiscal 24. And I see Becky has her hand raised. Yes.
Yeah, quick question. Is there any hope as we look at how long it takes a while for everyone to find out about these projects, and the bipartisan infrastructure law is supposed to, I think, only go through, what is it, next year or the year after? Is there any hope that some of that will
2026.
get extended?
That's a great question. I haven't heard anything about it being
Charlie
extended, but
Charlie has his hand.
Hi, so great job, Paul. So the bipartisan infrastructure law, a 5-year bill, is the federal transportation legislation. While it's offering substantial increases in investments, the concept isn't new. This has been around. These multi-year transportation bills have been around for decades, and I've heard that Congress is already working on the reauthorization of the BIL. The question comes down to what will it look like and how much funding will it provide? So that's always interesting to see how these programs evolve. Hopefully, building on the success of the BIL, that they will continue the historic investments and it'll only be increasing.
Yeah, Mark.
yeah, no, that's good news, Charlie. I hadn't heard that
Thank you.
yet. But
The meeting's
that's
over.
Yeah,
great.
it's the
right.
preference is that there's always a subsequent bill that starts when the current one expires. In decades past, there have been times where there's been disagreement in, surprisingly enough, there's disagreement in Congress and there's not a bill enacted by the time one's expiring. And what you will see is sometimes 1 or 2 or 3 years of a continuing resolution with the bill itself. And what they will look at is something like a 2% increase every year. And that tends to get hung up, actually, looking back in history, whenever there's a presidential election, if there's a sunset of a multi-year bill, sometimes that gets held up during an election cycle. So fortunately with this, I think the election cycle happens earlier than the expiration of the bill. So that's good news.
Well, I guess part of my question was, with so many programs getting rolled out, do we think all of them, the historic investment in the BIL that got passed, will that money all be used up in that 5-year period?
It's not likely that it will all be used up, because there are 2 types of funding streams within the bill itself. One is the formula, which is for the tip, for example, and as Bill was explaining earlier, how it went up like 17% for one tip cycle to that. And what that did was stratify the previous federal legislation, which was the FAST Act, but then you saw each subsequent year, it didn't go up 17%. It went up at a more normal amount. And I think what they're going to look at is the success of each discretionary program. How was it applied for? How much was actually spent? And how much more needs to be put into other programs? There might be programs that folks thought were going to be really popular and they didn't wind up being very popular. So they might not carry over and they're going to reallocate the fund to different pots. One of the things with federal funds, like on the tip, our federal funds do not roll over from year to year. And what happens then it goes back to a wider redistribution at the end of the year. And one of the things that Massachusetts has successfully done is apply for what they call an annual redistribution. And MassDOT's been typically getting about an extra $50 million a year, where other states might not be spending their money. So every year over the summertime, states can apply for this redistribution. And historically, Massachusetts has been very successful in spending most, if not all, of their money.
Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. And Becky
Right,
for the
so,
question. Any other
just,
discussion? Did you have anything else, Paul?
It's up to you guys if you want me to run down this list. I try to condense it as much as I can.
Okay, go
into
ahead.
8 pages. It's totally up to you all. So the next program is Protect, or Promoting Resilient Operations for Transformative, Efficient, and Cost-Saving Transportation. So this is dealing more on the environmental side of things
Mhm.
and dealing with the nature-based solutions to natural climate hazards. So this deals obviously with the issues of sea level rise, flooding, and extreme weather events that obviously impact transportation systems. There is no limit on the amount of award you can apply for this, and that includes all of the tracks that are under this grant. The next cycle is to be announced for fiscal 24-25 season. The next big one is the Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. This was a great grant opportunity we took advantage of in the city of Brockton, and actually it was successfully awarded this past year. So this again deals with large-scale surface transportation projects. A lot of those fall under Title 49 of the USC and Title 23. The max award for raise is for $25 million. The deadline for this year is coming up quickly. It's the 28th of February. Within what I've been reading on this, they actually provided deadlines for the upcoming fiscal years of 25 and 26, which will be January 13th of 25 and January 13th of 26 respectively for this program. So this is a really large discretionary program that has had quite a bit of money been appropriated to over the last handful of years. Next one is dealing with for the communities that it's eligible for, a railroad crossing elimination program. So this deals with the removal of highway rail crossing, or this can be specific safety improvements in terms of devices and signals at a railroad crossing. And this can obviously include planning and environmental review needed for that project. The award amount is to be announced, and similarly with the deadline. But I'm hearing that that NOFO should be releasing sometime this month, coming up in February. Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods is another large grant program. So this is essentially removing a barrier that connects communities with one another. So that can be either a road, a highway, a bridge, or some other infrastructure element that's obviously keeping folks from connecting with one another in the community. This one is a $5 million grant for a capital project and $2 million for planning. The next cycle for this grant is yet to be announced. And then obviously a big one for us is the Safe Streets and Roads for All program. So there's essentially 3 tracks to this one. So there's a planning, demonstration, and implementation grant. For this program, it requires municipalities to have a safety action plan completed prior to applying for an implementation funding. Although while you're doing that, you can also apply for a demonstration grant in the meantime. The max award for that is 10 million for the planning side of things, and then 25 million. And there's indications this year will be even more on the implementation side. So we're talking probably close to around $30+ million in funding. The expected release for this is sometime in February as well. So keeping up to date on that. Yes, Bill.
Yeah, so I'll just add in, so, and that another question that, and you kind of remind me of this. So another question we always get is about the SS4A, is the action plan side. I know some communities have kind of last year started the process of applying for their own action plans. So it's for all communities on this call, just know that you don't have to actually develop your own action plan. Through the regional action plan, your community will be covered. So that will allow you to go forth and apply for future implementation grants in your community. So I just wanted to add that in.
And I see that Chike from Brockton has his hand raised.
Yes. Is there anything for drainage infrastructure planning?
What do you mean by infrastructure planning, Chike?
City of Brockton has when I say drainage, they don't have any plan of, and even the ones they have planned, they have not been inspected for years, about, I don't know, 100 years old. We need to know what we have to be able to plan proper drainage for the city.
That would be something I'd have to look into for you, Chike.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of any that I have on my list right now that would pertain to that per se, but I'll definitely look into it and get back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Again, I'll try to run through this as quick as I can. SMART. So the SMART program is the Strengthening Mobility and Revolutionizing Technology program. So this is a sort of a pilot program for innovative technology solutions, similar to the TAIN grant that we talked about earlier. So this is sort of piloting sort of real world data and technologies and sensors for municipalities and specific roadway projects that they may have. So there's already been 2 rounds of the stage 1 prototyping. I know this coming summer, there'll be a stage 2 to actually implement all the pilot programs for those municipalities that applied. The stage 1 has been capped up to $2 million for that portion of it. And then again, stage 2 will be really sometime in the summer, and we'll hopefully know more about what the award structure will look like for that. But again, another really exciting program. Another big one for communities that they can take advantage of through the DOT, which should also be rolling around soon, is this Thriving Communities Technical Assistance. So this is a great opportunity for those municipalities that don't necessarily have a large grant writing team and are requiring additional resources to sort of help them with their particular needs. And the Thriving Communities offers an opportunity to where you can apply for 2 years of technical assistance, to where folks from the Department of Transportation and Federal Highway Administration actually work directly with your municipality to help you with your transportation related project. I know we received one in Brockton, and we're getting 2 years of assistance from DOT, but also some other engineering firms and nonprofit organizations that are sort of part of that overall conglomerate underneath this program. So this is a really exciting opportunity for folks to apply for. And the deadline for that, hopefully, or excuse me, the the notice should release hopefully soon for that for fiscal 24. And then there's a few others. Just really quick to talk about one of the formulaic ones. There's currently the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant through the Department of Energy that's available for selected municipalities. So this is sort of a one-time formula grant that's given to certain entities under formula. And the two communities within our region that have a formula allocation are Brockton and Plymouth. So Brockton is set to receive $151,670 under this formula grant, and Plymouth $121,930. So it's great to take advantage of, and there are two options for folks to sort of access that funding. One of which is through an actual, if it were a normal grant application, but also a voucher program. And DOE recommends just to utilize the voucher program, given the fact that the amount is under 200,000. It just eases a lot of the administrative burden that comes along with this type of program. So there, on the DOE website, there's a series of sort of blueprints for those eligible under the program to take advantage of, from energy efficiency projects, renewable energy, EV. There's a whole host of list of recommended selections for that. And again, great opportunity for folks. And the deadline for that, at least for the voucher side of things, is April 30th of 2024. There's a whole host of different forms that would be filled out by the municipality and then submitted to the Department of Energy. And the next steps would be working with contact over at DOE and setting up your ability to actually get reimbursed for whatever the project you're going to end up choosing is. And there are several others, and I believe Bill had sent this out in the packet here. As far as additional resources, there's a lot of great ones, particularly on the DOT side of things. There's a DOT Navigator, which is sort of a one-stop shop for looking for new grant opportunities, as well as technical assistance that's offered through the Department of Transportation. There is a state dashboard available as well. Was also mentioned earlier about the federal funds partnership with the Healy administration. And then there is also a unique little database for communities through the National League of Cities, where you can just go in and filter by grant program. And hopefully that'll give you an exhaustive list of additional programs. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Noreen, you're muted.
Thank you, Paul. Great presentation. Lots of information there, and welcome to OCPC.
Thank you.
You know, we appreciate all the information that you gave us today. I'm going to move on to item 8, which is other business, which is community local technical assistance studies. And that would be Bill.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So I just have one significant update on this LTA staff report. So for the town of Stoughton, we completed a road safety audit for the Pine Street corridor, and Ray sent that out to the town as well as to MassDOT and Federal Highway. So that is complete. And then you see we have town of Bridgewater, we have traffic counts scheduled for whenever the weather allows. So that'll be fairly soon, early 2024. And then Duxbury and Kingston will be doing we're looking at the Loring Street Landing Road corridor through those two towns, the potential heavy commercial vehicle exclusion technical assistance for those communities. And then in Plimpton, we're looking at traffic counts on multiple roadways in that town, looking at heavy vehicle traffic, and that'll be this late winter, early spring. So that's my update for LTA.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone have questions of Bill? All right, not hearing any. I'm gonna move on to item 6.8B, which is staff reviews on ENFs, EILs, and PCs. And that would be Kyle.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
So no new projects this month, but just some certificates to run through. First is for the town of Plymouth, wastewater treatment facility. The certificate states that this project, it is going to require an environmental impact report. Next is proposed ABC recycling facility. The certificate states that this project does not require an environmental impact report. Next is Lakeside Road residential project. The certificate states that this project does not require an environmental impact report. And finally, Plymouth Municipal Airport. The certificate states that this project adequately and properly complies with MEPA. And that concludes my report. That's it.
Thank you, Kyle. Anyone have any questions of Kyle on these reviews? Hearing none, thank you so much. I'm going to move on to item 8C, which is the regional concerns in local community transportation issues, and I will open that up to the floor. If anyone has any comments or questions.
Maureen?
Yes, Bruce.
Okay, I have a couple of things. Charlie, Bill, I should know this, but something came up on, and John, I should know this, but something came up on Life in Abington on Facebook. What's the status of the traffic circle at Chestnut Street and Hancock Street, please?
Oh,
It's approaching 75% design.
Okay. Good, appreciate that. Second thing I wanted to mention was we had a good turnout planning board the other night for the MBTA housing thing, and I want to put this up on the show it to you. But this is like the draft article for to see if the town will vote to amend the Abington zoning bylaws by adding a new district, the multifamily overlay district, substantially in the following form. And this was really put together by our new our town planner, Liz Shea, and our new assistant town planner, Kevin Cogan. I don't know if Kevin's on this call today, but he's a great addition to the town, and you know, he's really working hard on this. And I know Noreen, you attended this
Yes.
the other
it was-
night, and that was great. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it was a great meeting, and it was run in a way that people could understand exactly what the impetus of the program was. Everybody involved did a great job on that. You're on
Bruce,
mute, Bruce. You're muted, Bruce.
Kevin is on the call, and I see he, I don't know if you want to take a moment to introduce yourself.
Come on, Kevin, don't be shy. Is he muted, Charlie?
No, I
He's,
think he might be
he's-
having an audio problem.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say he's unmuted, but for whatever reason, his audio is not working.
I have his resume, but I won't read that.
Yeah, good job, Bruce. It
Okay,
went very
just-
well.
Just wanted to say that Senator Keating was there, and we gave him a chance to present.
Mhm.
And members of my board had some really good questions, especially Rick Collins.
Mhm.
And I guess he used to work for Senator Keating. But we got some good input on it,
It did.
and looking forward to bringing it to town meeting floor. A couple other things I just have quickly. Citizens Planner Training Collaborative. We're having our annual conference out at Holy Cross on March 16th. And I know that on social media, it's already been put out to save the date. And our board will be meeting next Wednesday to nail down the final plans on that. So that's something I'm looking forward to. And one last thing, I promise, a personal milestone that I reached. I've been donating whole blood since I was in college, and I started donating platelets 16 years ago. And last week, a week before last, I got a letter from the Red Cross telling me that I've donated platelets 275 times, which is
Wow.
quite a significant, level to reach. And I'm going for 300, but it's really nice. I think involved in a lot of community things, but that's something I'm really especially proud of.
Yeah.
And it's a great accomplishment, I think. Okay. now, sir,
Oh, that's awesome, Bruce.
thank
Big
you.
congratulations, Bruce, because the Red Cross, they really need help. And I know they're out there outreaching. So people like you who represent them, it's great that you just keep going back and helping. Nice work.
Thank you.
Do I hear any other concerns or transportation issues in the meeting? Alrighty, just want to thank everyone at OCPC always, because you guys and gals make us look so smart in the transportation business. And we can share stuff with either our towns or professionals in the field. So I wanted to thank you all. And do I have an motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? You can just wave.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you so much.
Thanks,
See you
everyone.
see you next month. And don't forget about Ray Garino's retirement party.
Yep.
On
In-house.
March 7th.